Dealing with toxic individuals can leave you feeling frustrated, drained, and even powerless. Whether it's a manipulative coworker, a narcissistic family member, or a dramatic ex, their behavior often thrives on your reactions. But what if you could take back control without escalating the situation? That's where the gray rock method comes in. Remember? They do everything they can to get a reaction. That's what drives them. Your reaction is their prize. In this video, we'll explore exactly what the gray rock method is, how it works, when to use it, and practical ways to apply it in different scenarios. By the end, you'll have a powerful tool to help you protect your energy and establish emotional boundaries. The gray rock method is a technique for managing interactions with toxic or manipulative individuals by becoming as unresponsive, uninteresting, and emotionally neutral as possible. The idea is simple. Toxic people crave attention and emotional reactions. By not giving them what they want, you make yourself less appealing to engage with. Think of yourself as a gray rock, dull, unremarkable, and unresponsive. The goal isn't to be rude or hostile, but to disengage emotionally and reduce the toxic person's ability to manipulate you. This method is best used in situations where you can't avoid the toxic person entirely, but want to minimize their influence. Some examples include co-workers or bosses who create unnecessary drama or tension, family members who thrive on conflict during gatherings, ex-partners you need to co-parent with, acquaintances or friends who manipulate, gossip, or stir up conflict. It's important to note that the gray rock method is not a solution for abusive situations involving physical danger. In those cases, seek professional help or work on creating a safe exit plan. Remove yourself from the toxic situation where possible. Successfully using the gray rock method requires practice and self-awareness. Here's a detailed guide to applying it in various interactions. 1. Keep responses short and neutral. When communicating with the toxic person, avoid giving detailed or emotionally charged answers. The key is to respond briefly, neutrally, and with no emotional weight. If they ask how your day went, say, "It was fine." If they make a dramatic or provocative statement, respond with, "I see." When they push for more details, simply reply with, "I don't know," or "nothing special." For example, if someone says, "Did you hear about what Sarah did? Can you believe her?" Instead of engaging with gossip, respond with, "No, I didn't," and change the subject to something boring like the weather or excuse yourself. 2. Avoid sharing personal information. Toxic individuals often use personal details as leverage to manipulate or hurt you. Protect your boundaries by keeping conversations surface level and generic. If they ask about your plans for the weekend, say something neutral like, "Just staying busy." If they dig for vulnerabilities, deflect with vague answers or redirect the conversation back to them. When they ask probing questions like, "How are things going with your partner?" respond with, "Good, thanks for asking." Don't elaborate. Keeping personal details out of the conversation deprives them of ammunition to use against you later. If you have been in a toxic relationship for a long time, you are probably inclined to justify yourself as a kind of confession. As exciting as it is, try to start by giving less to no personal information. Magic will happen. 3. Limit emotional reactions. Toxic people thrive on emotional responses, whether it's anger, frustration, or excitement. Practice emotional detachment to avoid giving them satisfaction. If they criticize you, resist the urge to defend yourself or argue. Instead, say, "Okay," or "You might be right." If they insult or mock you, remain unbothered. A shrug or silence speaks volumes and removes their power to provoke. If they escalate their behavior, maintain a calm tone and neutral expression. Do not raise your voice, roll your eyes, or engage in any reactive behavior. For example, if someone says, "You've always been so selfish," you might respond with, "I'm sorry you feel that way." Avoid further engagement. 4. Change the subject or redirect. If they push you into uncomfortable territory, redirect the conversation to something neutral or mundane. If they're trying to argue about a controversial topic, shift the focus. What's the weather supposed to be like tomorrow? If they're prying for information about your personal life, redirect with a question about something generic, like a movie, book, or current event. Changing the subject shows them you're not interested in feeding into their drama, which can disarm them. 5. Stay calm and composed. Control your tone, body language, and facial expressions. Toxic people often look for signs of discomfort, irritation, or fear to exploit. Speak in a calm, steady voice without raising or lowering your pitch. Keep your face neutral. Avoid frowning, smiling too much, or rolling your eyes. Maintain open, relaxed posture, even if you're feeling tense inside. For example, if someone raises their voice to provoke you, respond in a calm and measured tone. This communicates that their behavior isn't affecting you, which can help diffuse the situation. 6. Minimize engagement when possible. Whenever possible, limit your interactions with the toxic person. Stick to necessary topics and avoid small talk. If the interaction is in person, politely excuse yourself when the conversation drifts into toxic territory. I need to get back to work. In digital interactions like texting or emails, keep your replies brief and don't respond immediately. For instance, if they text you multiple times trying to argue, respond only to the part of their message that's essential. Noted, thanks. Avoid addressing the emotional undertones. Tip: if you have written an email, ask ChatGPT to remove all emotions. This way you can be sure that you are applying the gray rock method correctly and you leave no room for manipulation. 7. Use nonverbal cues to signal disinterest. Your nonverbal communication can reinforce your verbal neutrality. Nod occasionally without adding verbal affirmations like, "Oh, really?" Avoid leaning forward or showing too much interest in the conversation. Instead, maintain a relaxed and neutral stance. If appropriate, create physical distance by stepping back slightly or focusing on something else, like a notebook or phone. For example, in a group setting where the toxic person tries to dominate the conversation, stay quiet and let others engage. Your lack of attention will show them you're not a target. 8. Don't take the bait. Toxic individuals will often provoke you to see how far they can push you. Don't fall into their trap. If they exaggerate or make wild accusations, resist the urge to correct them. Simply say, "If you say so." If they accuse you of something untrue, avoid defending yourself. That's your opinion. For example, if someone says, "You always forget about me. You don't care." Instead of defending yourself, reply calmly with, "I'm sorry you feel that way." This denies them the emotional reaction they're seeking. When you combine these strategies, you create an impenetrable boundary. The toxic person realizes they can no longer get the emotional responses or control they want from you. Over time, they may lose interest and move on to someone else. Applying the gray rock method isn't always easy. It requires self-control and practice, especially when someone is trying to provoke you. But by staying consistent, you'll protect your emotional well-being and limit the influence of toxic behavior in your life. Toxic individuals thrive on attention, control, and emotional reactions. When you deny them these things, their behavior often loses its power. By staying calm, neutral, and unengaged, you force them to look elsewhere for the emotional stimulation they crave. Additionally, this method helps you protect your mental and emotional energy. Instead of getting caught up in their drama, you maintain focus on your own well-being. The gray rock method is not about suppressing your personality or emotions permanently. It's about using this technique strategically in specific interactions to protect your peace. In your safe relationships with trusted friends, family, or therapists, you should continue to express yourself fully. However, it's important to note that this method won't work with every toxic person. Some individuals may escalate their behavior when they don't get the reaction they're looking for. If this happens, prioritize your safety and consider seeking professional advice or support. Lastly, don't let this method become your only coping strategy. Combine it with other tools like setting boundaries, practicing self-care, and, if needed, removing yourself from toxic environments. Now, let's look at some real-life examples of how the gray rock method can be applied. Imagine you're at a family gathering, and there's that one relative who always tries to provoke you. Instead of engaging, you respond with short, non-descriptive answers. When they ask about your job, you simply say, "It's fine," and shift the conversation to a neutral topic like the weather. Over time, they lose interest because they're not getting the reaction they crave. Another scenario could be at work with a difficult colleague. They might try to undermine you or create drama. By maintaining a calm and indifferent demeanor, answering their questions with minimal detail, and avoiding unnecessary interaction, you take away their power. Remember, the goal is to be as uninteresting as possible to the toxic person, reducing their desire to engage with you. These examples illustrate how the gray rock method can be a useful tool in various settings, helping you maintain your composure and protect your peace. Always remember to assess each situation individually and prioritize your safety and well-being. The gray rock method is a practical way to protect your emotional well-being in the face of toxic behavior. By staying neutral, uninteresting, and unengaged, you can minimize their influence and regain control of your interactions. Remember, you have the power to decide who gets your energy and attention. By using this method strategically, you can focus on what truly matters and leave the chaos behind. You can have boundaries on any topic. They can change over time, and you never have to explain them. The gray rock method worked well for me, but keep these disclaimers in mind. Sometimes you need to stand up for yourself. The best option is no contact or minimal contact. Stick to written communication. Phone calls can lead to manipulation. Don't use this method long term. It's like holding your breath and can become emotionally draining. If there's physical danger, contact the police. Prioritize the safety of yourself and your children. This method is not recommended for young people dealing with bullying. Seek help from parents or teachers instead. Your personality is still developing, and this should not become a coping mechanism. Thank you for watching. Please hit the like and subscribe button, and good luck mastering the gray rock method. Don't hesitate to ask your questions in the comments.